Hey, what's going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and today we're talking about battery life on the new iOS 26.5. Now, even though the battery life is quite good on iOS 26.5, in my own experience it hasn't actually been as good as iOS 26.4. So in today's video, I will show you guys a few tips and tricks that will help you improve the battery life on your iOS 26.5 device. Now, before we get into all that, I just want to ask you guys for a really quick favor. Most of you guys that watch my videos are still not subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the videos and you want to see more of them, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. It will really help the channel a lot. Now, first of all, we're talking about the new wallpaper on iOS 26.5. Now, even though this is a great new wallpaper and you can customize it any way you like it, it will consume battery, as you see all kinds of different animations when you're actually using this wallpaper. Every time you lock and unlock your device, it gives you some really smooth and really interesting animations, but of course, all these animations do require CPU usage, which means that it will consume battery. So if you like this wallpaper, try to use it as less as possible, because if you use it like often, if you have it on all the time, it will of course just consume a ton of battery on your iPhone. Next up will be the latest update, and this goes for people who have used betas of iOS 26.5. Make sure that you have updated to the latest release. If you don't know, Apple has actually released a second RC for iOS 26.5, so make sure you go to the general settings and go to the software update page and make sure you have the latest installed right here. As I said, Apple, as you probably know, a week before the public release has released the RC, and then a couple of days later they have released a second RC, so make sure you're on the latest RC update, which means that you're out of the betas of iOS 26.5. Another thing you need to make sure you do is update your apps. Make sure you have all of your apps up to date. As you can see right here, most of the popular apps will release new updates once like a big iOS update is out to the public. So you want to make sure that the apps that you use daily on your device are updated to their latest release. This because these apps will be updated to be more compatible with the new iOS release, and you should actually make sure that you have all of your apps up to date. Now you can go of course to your App Store account, go to app updates and make sure you have them updated. Otherwise, you can just head on to the general settings right here and then go to apps and then head on to App Store right here, and under automatic downloads, you make sure that you have app updates enabled. That will make sure that all of the apps will be updated once a new release is out for your device. So make sure you always have your apps up to date. Now, another thing you can do is reduce the bright effects of the liquid glass on iOS 26. Now, of course, liquid glass is cool. A lot of people like it, a lot of them don't. But the reflections that you get with iOS 26, of course, do consume battery. So now you have an option to actually disable them. So when you go to display right here in text size, you will have a new option to actually reduce bright effects. All the different effects, the shiny effects that you get with iOS 26 can now be turned off by enabling this button. Now, another really important thing that you can do to make sure that you get the best battery life on your iPhone, not just on iOS 26.5, but every iOS version, is make sure you identify the apps that are using the most battery on your iPhone. So you go to the battery settings and view right here which apps are using your battery. Now, of course, if you have apps here that you have been using a lot, they will show right here at the top of the list. But if you have any apps that you very rarely use and don't actually stay on those apps for a lot of minutes and they show up here, that means that that app is actually using a ton of battery, meaning that it's an app that is probably poorly coded and you need to go ahead and just remove it from your device and make sure you replace it with another alternative, better alternative from the App Store. Now, another thing I suggest you do, if you're not using the Apple Intelligence features, then make sure you have them turned off. It's like it doesn't make any sense having them turned on and they're using a ton of battery, because every time you do something where you can actually also use Apple Intelligence, the features are working in the background, basically staying ready for you to use them. But if you're not using them, then just make sure you have them turned off. You can go to Apple Intelligence and Siri. Again, if you're not actually using Apple Intelligence, just make sure to turn it off right here. That way you can only use Siri when you need it and not have the Apple Intelligence features working in the background all the time. Now, one thing that will consume a ton of battery on your iPhone are haptics. Haptics do consume a ton of battery. The haptic engine will require quite a lot of battery to work. So what I suggest you do is make sure that you have them configured the right way. So for example, if you go right here under sounds and haptics, you will have the haptics here. I have them on never play just because I don't like having haptics on my device. But the best option would be to play only on silent mode, which is this one right here, meaning that when your iPhone is on ringer mode, of course you get the sound notification. When it's on like silent mode, you only get the vibrations from the haptic engine. That's probably the best way for you to configure this. That of course won't let you just miss any of your notifications, but also will save a ton of battery. Next up, we're talking about the display, so head on to display and brightness, and right here you will find the option for the always on display. Now you can see right here the way I have it configured, this is the way it will consume the most battery, and this has been confirmed by Apple as well. So you will have here a few options. Of course, if you want to leave it on, because if you have a device with the always on display, it's quite cool, but if you want to leave it on, then you can just go ahead and maybe turn off the wallpaper. That way you will only see the clock. The screen will be dark, so it's not consuming a ton of battery, but you still see the clock there, your widgets, and of course the notifications. And that's probably the best way to use and the most efficient way to use the always on display on your iPhone. Now, another thing you can do is make sure you check the widgets that you're using on your lock screen and home screen, and make sure you're only using the ones that you actually need. If you have a ton of widgets enabled on your device, they will consume battery, especially the widgets that require an internet connection that are updated all the time. Like you can see right here, the stocks widget, it needs to be updated all the time, and so you know it's consuming battery. So make sure you check those and remove any of the widgets like the news widgets, weather widgets that do consume a ton of battery. Make sure you only use the ones that you need. Also check this side right here, because I see a lot of people have a ton of widgets here that they don't even use, or they maybe even don't know that they have them here. So make sure you just remove any widgets you're not actually using. Now, one of the biggest battery drainers on our iPhones are, of course, notifications. If you have a ton of apps sending you notifications all the time, it will just drain the battery out of your iPhone. So what I suggest every user does is make sure they check their notifications. Go to notifications here and check the apps that you have on this list. There are probably a ton of apps from which you don't actually need to have notifications. So all you have to do is just go ahead and turn them off. Or if you want to have notifications but they're not that important, you can always place them right here on a scheduled summary. That way you know that you will receive the notifications only once or twice a day, and you're not having your iPhone just lit up the screen all the time with different notifications. And last but not least, head on right here under privacy and security. Go to location services. Like you can see right here, I keep it off all the time. I will turn it on only when I need it. But if you just like to keep it on, then make sure you have a check here for all the different apps that have access to your location. Now you can see right here we'll have a few options. I would turn off precise location for most apps. Like precise location is only needed for like navigation apps. You don't really need it for anything else. So make sure you have these configured the right way and turn off location services for the most amount of apps that you can, because most of them of course don't even need to have your location. So that's basically for this video, guys. These are a few tips and tricks that will help you improve the battery life on your iOS 26.5 device. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.